Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to cut and sew a pencil long skirt. If this is something you're interested to learn, you want to keep on watching and let's get started. To start up with this tutorial, you will have about 2 yards of Ankara fabric. If you're plus size, you can use 2.5. Okay. What I have here is 3 yards and I'm making this for Modern Sunday outfit. It's for my client actually. So you can see this is for Anglican Diocese of Nike in Enugu. So this week Sunday is the Moderate Sunday, and my client reached out to me. She said she wanted a long pencil skirt. So if you're working with any Ankara fabric that has designs, you can see this church on has right top, Bible, dove on top of it, and all this border, all this design and the right top. You want to make sure that after folding, at least you have it in the middle, just like this. Let it be on the center front. Like the border should be half folded so that when you turn the center front of your skirt, you won't have the designs facing downward. Instead, it will face upward, just like the Bible and dove and all the designs you see right here. So the length of this skirt is 40 inch, but I added extra 2 inch and I minused 2 inch for the waistband. From that point to the point I marked, I have 6 inch. I'll use it to make a straight line. This will serve as the waistline. I repeat, the length of the skirt is 40 inch plus 2 inch for turn up and sewing allowance, minus 2 inch again for your waistband. Okay. From the waistline, I went down by 9 inch. This is for my client's hip line. Most hip line is from 8 to 9 inch from the waistline. So after marking, I'll come here on the waistline and I'll mark quarter of the waist measurement. I've marked quarter of the waist measurement and I'm going to include 1 inch for that and extra 2 inch for seam allowance, and that will give me 3 inch. I've marked it, and on the hip line I'll mark quarter of the hip measurement plus 2 inch seam allowance. From the waist I will connect to the hip. After connecting to the hip, I'll measure what I have on the hip line in total. It was 14 inch. Coming down to the hemline, I'll subtract 1 inch from the 14 inch and I'll mark 13 inch. Okay, whatever you get in total on the hip line, just subtract 1 inch. Mine was 14, so I subtracted 1 inch. I marked 13. After marking, you can see where I marked it. Then I started connecting from the hip line to that point where I stopped. You get. So once I'm done with this, next thing I want to do is to cut it out. All right, I'm going to cut it out. After cutting, I'll fold another piece of fabric. I'll make sure it's on a fold. Then I'll cut the back piece, leaving about 1.5 inch zip allowance. Okay, so after cutting, guys, this is what I have. I'll place it on top of this other piece, leaving 1.5 inch zip allowance. I'll first cut this border, that white border there. I'll cut it out because I need it to be in a straight line. So I'll place like so, leaving 1.5 inch zipper allowance. After placing, I'll cut it out. I'll cut the excess I have on the side and on the upper part, just like this. And you see. After cutting, the next thing I want to do is to slash the zip allowance from the center back, just this way. After slashing the zipper allowance, I'm going to come in from the center front by half of my client's nipple to nipple. Her nipple to nipple was 8 inch. Half of it supposed to be 4, but I added extra half an inch for sewing allowance. Okay. Then the that length was 5 inch. I've marked it, and on both sides of the half of nipple to nipple line, I marked half inch on both sides. Then I want to notch. I will notch like so on both sides. So that is where I'll be making or taking the dart. You get. And from the center front again, I went down by half an inch and I made a slant line to connect to the side. I also notched the zip allowance side. So after notching the zip allowance, I'm going to cut it out. I'll cut this out. This will help your waistband sit perfectly after joining or attaching to your front skirt. That's the excess of trimming out half an inch from the center front. I've gone ahead to cut the lining as well. And for the lining, I remove 1.5 inch from the lining. You can see the Ankara is longer than the lining. I removed 1.5 inch. This will help get the turn up effect at the hem part. Okay. So the remaining half an inch, I'll use it for the joining of the waistband. So I'll open up the piece like so. You can see what I have here on the center front. You can see how set it is. So you can see the right top. This is Alican Doris of Nike. Can you see the right top is facing upward? Yours should be like that if you are working with any design Ankara, you know. So you place your lining like so. After placing, coming to the down part, you will drag your lining like so and stitch with half inch. After stitching with half inch, you have the turn up effect. So what you want to do is to turn it like so, then stitch on both sides using half an inch. Repeat the same thing on the back piece as well. So I've gone ahead to sew the back piece and front piece. For the front piece, this is the turn up effect I have after I was done sewing. And for the back piece, this is the turn up effect. Okay. Next thing I want to do now is to make the dart. I've notched the dart and I'm going to fold like so. For the dart, you make sure the both knots are facing each other. Then from the waistline, I went down by 5 point half inch. So I'm going to stitch from that part to this part. Okay, you stitch from that leg to that point. After stitching your dart, fold your band like so because I've already cut the band. What I have there was 2.5 inch. I'll use half an inch to join. So I'll stitch with half inch like so. I've done that already. I've stitched the dart and the waistband. This is the back piece. I did the same thing as you can see. The next thing I want to do is to place the back piece right sides facing each other, and from the zip allowance side I will come down by 23 inch. That is where the slit will start. It will have slit, so I mark 23 inch. You can decide to mark 22. It depends on how open you want your slit. And from that point again, I came down by 18. That is where the zip will be attached, just this way. Can you see? And the next thing I want to do again is to mark 1 inch from that point to the other point. So I'm going to head over straight to my sewing machine and I'll stitch on top of that line. Then after stitching, I will attach my zip. After attaching the zip, I'll use the allowance to fold like so. Then you iron. After ironing, ensure you use your hemming gum to secure in place. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that. I've gone ahead to attach the zip. As you can see, I've sewed to the point I want, and this is the slit for the back. You can see the right top, Anglican Diocese of Nike. This is well placed and it was well cut. So you need to be careful when working with any fabric that has pattern or design. The next thing I did was to place the both piece right sides facing each other, the front and back skirt. I placed right sides facing each other and I'm using pin to secure in place. So after securing, okay, at some point I tried to pin the rest of the side out of camera. Okay, so I've gone ahead to pin the both side. I pinned out of camera, okay, for the sake of time, as my table was not enough. All right, so the next thing I want to do now is to shape the dress from the waistline. I'm going to come down by the 9 inch which I used for the hip line. Listen very carefully. You mark it on the other side as well. After marking, the first measurement I will take is the waist. I'll divide the waist by 2. The waist is 42 inch. Divided by 2 will give me 21. So I'll mark the 21. And when marking on both sides, please ensure you have the same inch allowance you have on the other side. Like make sure the both side allowance are equal, okay? And on the hip line, I'll mark the hip measurement divided by 2. The hip is 48 by 2 is 24. I've gone ahead to mark. So you can see the allowance I have on this side is as the same thing I have on the other side, like they are of the same size. So I will connect from the hip to the waist. Can you see? So after connecting from the hip to the waist, I'll measure what I have there. It was 2 inch on the allowance, then I'll mark 2 inch here. I'll measure on this side, it was 2 inch, and I'll mark it here as well. After marking the 2 inch, I'll drag my skirt to the hem part. I want to take out 6 inch on this side. I want to take out 6 inch. I don't know how many inch you take out, okay, while shaping yours, but I want to take out 6 inch. That will be perfect. So what I did was to shade the 6 inch on both sides. So I marked 3 inch here, and I also marked 3 inch on this other side as well. Okay, I had to mark the 3 inch again here. I connected like so, and I'll mark 3 inch here, and I will connect this way. I'll also repeat the same 3 inch here. I'll connect, repeat the same thing here, and I'll connect as well. I marked like 3 times. So after connecting, I will now connect from the hip to that point. This is how you shape your pencil skirt, and this will be very perfect. So after marking, the next thing I want to do now is to go ahead and sew. So when sewing, I will sew from the back of the chalk. I will sew from the back of the chalk, not on top the chalk or at the front, but from the back of the chalk. You get. So after shaping the skirt, this is what I have. The next thing I did was to retake the measurement. The waistline measurement is complete, and on the hip, you can see it's not complete here. I have to add back extra half an inch, and the half inch I will share it on both sides, and I will come out by quarter of an inch on this side, come out by quarter of an inch on the other side. Okay, so after shaping, I've loosened up and I've shaped again, and I want to retake the measurement again. So right here the measurement is complete. You can see I have exactly 48 inch, which is 24 by 2. You get. So I've gone ahead to do that. Next thing I want to do is to iron the skirt very properly, and that will be the end of today's tutorial. If you love this video, kindly hit on the subscribe button, turn on notification bell so you enjoy more interesting video. I upload every week. I upload like 3 times in a week. Okay, thank you for watching. See you in my next one. Bye.